stop. What's that shame? Everybody look what's going.
Wow, thanks so much for coming. I'm so honored to be here. I'd like to thank Creative Mornings for grooming me and making sure that I'm suitable to stand here for you today. I'd also like to acknowledge the Black and Indigenous people of color, my BIPOC brethren in the room. I think it's so meaningful when we activate cultural sites by our mere presence. I was going to do a land acknowledgement, but Maxine did it already. But again, we are gathered here today on traditional and unceded Algonquin territory. And for that, we're grateful. Also, I'm kind of a night owl. It's like 9 in the morning, so this is not my sweet spot. So please forgive me if I fumble or if I burst into a fit of giggles. It may happen. And I've surveyed the room, and I've done a quick calculation. I figure about 200 of you are qualified to be here speaking in my place. Stop it. So anyway, I'm so thrilled to be in this room of peers and mentors. Thank you for coming. Okay, that's nice. So has anyone here seen the show The Amazing Race? A show of hands, Amazing Race, or been on a scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt? Yes? Okay, great. We've got a bunch of joiners here. I love that show, and so did my son. So much so that for his 5th birthday, I organized a mini version of The Amazing Race, sending this little gang of kids looking for clues and participating in challenges around the Byward Market. It was a gentler place then. So they started the National Gallery of Canada, and they climbed up to the Astrolab, did a bunch of jumping jacks, descended, threw some coins in the courtyard fountains, and fetched pumpkins, little baby pumpkins, from market vendors. The race ended with the help of France Defossé, who's here somewhere, or over there, thank you, with a birthday cake celebration at Planet Coffee. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the 2004 Mom of the Year, right here. Thank you. It was the height of my organizing career, and never to be repeated. So, in my opinion, creative practice and life in general can be a lot like The Amazing Race. In my experience, my life path has been decidedly, despite many best laid plans, non-linear. Non-linear. I stand before you a visual artist, a woman of color, a mother, a bartender in my late 40s. I was once a wife, a small business owner, an athlete, and a film student. I've always zigzagged from one clue to the next. What I've always been is a maker. And as a kid, I did all the kid things. I did puppet shows, I made costumes. I redecorated my room endlessly. I choreographed dances to Duran Duran songs. A lot of you don't even know who Duran Duran is, probably. It's a shame. In university, I pivoted from journalism to film studies and film production. I tried to make films. In my late 20s, I made a baby. Not by myself. Shout outs to my baby's daddy, Ian Fraser. He's not here today. And then we made a business together. And now I make art, despite not having a BFA or an MFA. So, oh my God, I forgot about the slides, Mar. Oh, okay, that's a picture of me when I was a young mom with my little kid. Oops. What did I do? Okay, and so now I make art. My art making rescued me and resurrected me from the end of my marriage. In my dining room, I found myself using repurposed materials from our bike shop and from my filmmaking studies to make sculptures of wings. This was the first one I did. This was the divorce one. Not knowing what they would be or why I was stitching them into existence. It was alchemical, you might say. And I imagined her sitting with me, showing me what to do. The muse. So now I spend my days trying to locate her, figure out what she needs, and how to welcome her in. Sometimes she needs Netflix and chips. Right? Sorry, I just need to look at my notes. I'm cracking myself up over here. Okay, let's just continue. So, okay, these are some wings made out of film. And there's another one. Okay, who is she? For those wondering, I will be using the pronouns she and her when I refer to the muse. I'm not trying to be controversial. It's my belief that creative forces are feminine forces. Please don't at me about this. My feminine energies have produced a child, a whole bunch of really good ideas. So who is she? If we were to ask somebody like John Singer Sargent, she is one of 8 fairy sisters, each one a delicate beauty dancing around the god Apollo. If we were to ask Gauguin or Manet or Picasso or Jeff Koons, or the list goes on, she is an idealized, sexualized goddess luxuriating in a bed or on a beach or with Pink Panther. If we were to ask Micheline Thomas, she is a vibrant mom. Or Gerhard Richter, she's a perfectly melting candle. So, who is she? In Greek mythology, the muses were 9 goddesses who were created to bring inspiration, knowledge, artistry, and music to the ancient world. The muse embodies all of our best ideas. She's a personification of our collective creative genius. The artist Paul Klee said, "Everything vanishes around me. The works are born as if out of the void. Ripe graphic fruits fall off. My hand has become the obedient instrument of a remote will." What he's describing here is called being in a state of flow, which is also what you might consider communing with the muse. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I did it, describes the flow state as a total immersion in a task, a feeling of complete concentration and losing track of the outside world. So wow, that's pretty big. Has anyone here experienced this feeling? Yeah, are there any runners here who've experienced runner's high? Or any ravers here who've experienced ecstatic dancing? When I played tennis, there were some days when I would just return the ball for hours not thinking about placement or power, and that thing would just go exactly where it should. So how do we get in the flow? How do we find the muse? It's not a science, as all of you know. It's tricky. There's no formula. There are no rules. It's a game of seduction. And seducing the muse may take a couple of different attempts before anything sexy happens. So here's what I know. Here's what I've learned. One thing is we need to create a hospitable environment for the muse to inhabit. So get your studio straight. Make sure all your tools are together. You've got good lighting. It's comfy. Or not too hot. And create a ritual to invoke her. So Joan Didion famously woke up late every morning and cracked a cold can of Diet Coke, smoked a ciggy, and wrote all day. And then an hour before dinner, she would break and fix herself a proper drink and then edit the work that she had written that day. The drink helps, she says. Right? It removes me from the pages. So Louise Bourgeois, a little bit more PG, she fixed herself a cup of tea with a tablespoon of jelly in it before she left for her studio in the morning. Agnes Martin wore coveralls to paint. Now we're going to get into some local flair now. Oh, okay, sorry. Oops. Peter Schmelzer dons a dingy, ugly outfit, suitable only for his painting studio. His wife, Missy Marston Schmelzer, upon seeing the uniform, realizes it's the cue for her to get to work and start writing her next amazing novel. You know who's coming next. David O'Meara. Gets up early, goes to Bridgehead, writes a bunch of poems. Light a candle, chant a mantra, do 25 sit-ups. Do what you gotta do. Uh-oh. Okay, a few things to consider. There's no one on the planet like you. Even your identical twin will behave and ideate differently than you do. Your unique combination of nature and nurture will inform your singular approach and interpretation of any idea. Here's what I do. Here's some tips from Marisa. I like to experiment with the idea of changing my brain. And there are countless examples of creative powerhouses in every discipline who use drugs and drinks to do that. And that can be super fun. But for me, the easiest way to do it is with music, listening to podcasts, listening to sounds. Alice Coltrane's Reflection on Creation and Space, a 5-year view from 1973, will melt your mind in a good way. It's experimental spiritual jazz. It's totally incredible. Jonathan Goldstein's Heavyweight podcast. You guys know this one? Yeah. He tells engrossing tales of reconciliation and reckoning. It's hilarious, it's emotional, it's very heartfelt. Sound occupies the part of my brain that is too logical, is too nervous, is too worried, and too insecure, and creates a soft focus around the task at hand. Anybody know about the Pomodoro Technique? This is a technique that I love as well. Pomodoro Technique breaks your tasks into 25-minute chunks. No distractions. Turn your phone off. Total focus. 25 minutes. 5-minute breaks. Piece of cake. There's a lot that you can do in 25 minutes. It gets the ideas flowing. It's like speed dating the muses. It's a power move. It's a power move. Pomodoro Technique. I also do that one. What else do I do? I wear an apron. It protects my outfit. It's got pockets in it. It's not that cute. Very functional. Oh, and also I procrastinate. Procrastinate. But I don't even like to use that word anymore. So I usually say I incubate, I gestate, I masticate, I ruminate. Or, as my good friend Drew Mosley says, marinate. Marinate. He's been doing that one for years. It makes it sound delicious. I do a lot of thinking before I even handle any materials. I don't commit anything to paper. I barely sketch, probably to my detriment, but that's how I do it. And I find that when I give myself the space to configure and reconfigure in my mind, when the time comes for me to use my hands, cool things happen. It's important to balance your input versus your output. Constant output makes for boring work. Your brain is working hard, it needs to rest, it needs nourishment. So, great things can happen when you take a break and you wash the dishes, you go ride a bike, binge watch Fleabag. Trust yourself, trust your abilities, unplug, take a breath. It's going to get done. You're going to get it done. Lauren Michaels visited my film production class. Lauren Michaels, the executive director of Saturday Night Live, visited my film production class at New York Film Academy when I attended there in the late 90s. He was kind of a strange guy, but what I do remember is him saying, if it's not working, get up and take a walk for a couple hours. We're so indoctrinated to be busy all the time and work. It's my belief that taking time and resting your brain is part of the process. What else do I do? Let me just quickly check my notes here. I know this, guys. I got mentors. I found mentors. Oh yeah, okay, there's another quote. Oh, okay, this was the Rick Rubin quote about procrastination. Sorry. It's a good one. He's a guru. Okay, this is a great quote by Marion Wright Edelman. You may recognize this quote from Beyonce's Homecoming film. It was an intertitle. You can't see what you can't be. Does anyone here know about the theory that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with? Okay. Everyone in your life counts. We're all making imprints on each other. Let's take a minute and make a list, in your brain, list out your 5. Are they generative connections? Do you inspire each other? Do you support each other? Here's my 5. I'm going to share. Number 1, this is in no particular order, it's not in order of importance. Number 1, Nicholas Kohler, he's my partner. He's a brilliant writer and journalist. He's also has the official title of naming all of my sculptures. Number 2, Talene Jirian. I don't know where she's gone. She's not even here anymore. Okay, Talene Jirian. Visual artist, marketing expert, calm, even. She's a rock. Number 3, Marisa Gallemit Fraser, my child. Infinitely brave and kind, effortlessly cool. He's gonna watch this and be like, oh, why did you do that? Number 4, David O'Mara. You saw him earlier. Extraordinary poet and writer. Very dedicated to his craft. He's an excellent human. He's not a bad bartender. Number 5, Joanne Stevenson. Where's Joanne Stevenson? She's over here somewhere. Joanne Stevenson. Joanne pours energy and enthusiasm over everything that she does. I know how to pick them. I'm very lucky. So we're moving on. Okay, can anybody recognize who this person is? Does anybody know who this is? You probably don't. Her name is Peanut Louie. And she is an Asian American professional tennis player who peaked in the late 70s and early 80s. When I played tennis, sometimes people would say, oh wow, Marisa, you're gonna be the next Peanut Louie. Can anybody identify the woman in this photo? Connie Chung, quite right, very good. Connie Chung, Asian American broadcast journalist, also married to Maury Povich. When I was in journalism school, some people would say, Marisa, you're gonna be the next Connie Chung. And a part of me would bristle and think, wow, that's super racist, right? Like, why can't I be the next Martina Navratilova? Why can't I be the next Barbara Walters? But what I realize is these suggestions trained my eye to Asian excellence, right? And these women were paving the way in their lanes for all of us little Asian girls to see. So I'm going to share you my current day mentor, Leanne Shapton, ladies and gentlemen. Does anybody know who Leanne Shapton is? I know Megan does. Leanne Shapton, exceptionally talented visual artist, art director, novelist, graphic novelist. She's also Filipina-Canadian from Mississauga and a former competitive swimmer. She's the bee's knees for real. I'm obsessed with her. Please seek out her work. It's totally worth your while. She's incredible. So these last 3 women, it's no mistake that they're of Asian heritage. I relate to them strongly. And I relate to what they represent culturally. Okay. What they represent culturally as Asian women and as women of color. Any aspirations that I may have looking to them make these aspirations seem a little bit more attainable. Sorry, did you say 5 minutes? Oh my God. Guys, I took too long. Okay, this brings us to the issue of representation. Who mirrors you? As I learn more and more about myself and my practice, I find my mentors to be those with whom I share a cultural code. Seek out the voices of diversity who speak to you and your experience. I find myself more and more enchanted by my culture and my family and my ancestors and my people. People like Apo Wong Od. I think she's in her 90s now. And she's one of the last remaining traditional tattoo artists of the Kalinga tribe in the northern Philippines. She was named a Filipino National Treasure a couple of years ago. People like Kidlat Tahimik, also from the north of the Philippines. Uh-oh. What did I do? Did I kill it? Oh, okay, everything's fine. Kidlat Tahimik, considered to be the godfather of modern Filipino cinema. This is a detail from a series that I've been working on called Nandito Kami, which translated from Tagalog means we are here. And this is a series about my culture and about third culture. There are two meanings, two strong themes in the work. The first is that Nandito Kami speaks on behalf of members of the Filipino diaspora around the world, saying, we're here. Hold space. The second meaning is that Nandito Kami is the voice of my ancestors, reaching across generations to speak through me and my work, and the work of Christina Corre, and the work of Andy Vicente, and Melanie Yugo, Mayor Grace de Castro, Jean Pendon, countless other amazing creative Filipinos. This is my father, Lamberto Gallemit. Look how cute he is, with my kid, Trey Gallemit Fraser. My dad inspired this piece called Lamberto. I was inspired by his sense of play, his musicality, and his laughter. Who mirrors you? Okay, real talk. Life is hard, bad things happen, climate change, systemic racism, the patriarchy, rejection, loss, etc. Difficulties and setbacks can be driving forces. I propose that the anti-muse can be a motivator. The anti-muse. Famous author James Joyce was rejected and betrayed by his rivals and detractors, and he used that as fuel for his success. 2014 was pretty hard for me. I had a rough year, and I suffered from creative block. So time went by, I just cooked and ate a lot. And then I got honest with myself and with my feelings of isolation and fear, and I came up with this idea, which blossomed into what later became known as the Cheerleader Project. The Ottawa Art Gallery supported the project, and we presented it for Nuit Blanche 2015. And so with many friends, we created an obstacle course on Daly Avenue right over here out of wooden hurdles, which represented mental and emotional hurdles that we must overcome in order to bring ideas into the world. Participants were encouraged to run the course, jump around the hurdles, on the hurdles, and then stand on a winner's podium at the end with a speaker blasting a crowd's roaring applause. So I had, in effect, created the participatory installation that I myself needed. I used my difficult feelings. To overcome difficult feelings. So we're just gonna, if you will indulge me, I'd really like to recreate the finishing podium of the Cheerleader Project with you today. But I need 3 volunteers. Is anybody struggling with difficult feelings? Or, does anyone need a little bit of a lift or some encouragement? I need 3. We're running out of time, folks. I need help. Come on up, please. Okay, more if you want. If anyone wants to stand on these, please be careful. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe not this one. Oh, I don't know.
I think you can on the sides.
Let's see.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Don't be shy. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Everybody's going to get ready with their finishing stance. Very good. Yeah, you're good? You good? Okay, very good. So I'm going to count to 3 and we're going to let her rip and we're going to give these people tons of energy, okay? Energy. 3, 2, 1. This is Stephanie Nadeau doing that. Okay, I'm ending with this. This is a quote by African-American artist Lorraine Grady. Making art is a way of saying it's okay, you're not alone. We need mirrors to see ourselves. So while we may have muses and mentors, I'd like to propose the idea that we are also muses to ourselves and to each other. There's nobody like you, which is cool, right? There's nobody like you. So keep working, knowing that somebody somewhere is probably sees you, admires you, what you do, and how you do it. You are the muse. So the final thing I'm going to ask is that the selfie that you took, that Talene asked you to take earlier, if you could pull it up and post it to your Insta stories or Instagram. Don't be shy. We're all going to do it. Let's make an agreement, you guys. We're all going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, so tag Ottawa Creative Mornings, hashtag I am the muse. Please do this for me. You don't have to do it now, but don't forget, okay? I don't know if we have time for questions, but do we? Okay, because I had a cute closing. Does anybody have questions?
We'll take this, we'll run in the audience, you'll use that.
Oh, okay.
Question.
The word music and muse, is musing the word music? Or how did the word music come about? And is it inspired by the word muse?
Dude, I have no idea. I mean, that's a great question. Do I have to turn this on?
Try it again.
That's a great question. I'm going to Google it when I get out of here. All right. Okay, thanks, Natalie. Thank you. I think we're good. Hi.
I was just wondering, what advice would you give an artist who's going through a creative block?
I think it's really important to communicate about it with trusted friends. I think it's really important to complain about it and cry about it and get sick of yourself. That usually works for me. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do. And that's sort of what this talk was about, was that there's a lot of experimentation that has to happen with yourself. Sometimes you let it be. Sometimes you give it a rest. And then you're reborn with stronger and better ideas. Sometimes it just has to be that way, and that's okay. That's it. I'm not qualified to give advice, folks.
And we have a few other questions, one back here. If I may throw one out to you, you quickly talked about how when you were younger, people used to compare you to other famous Asian women. But now you talked a little bit about how you use that in your work now. Like, what was the transition there for you? How did you go from this is kind of racist to I'm going to actually embody this? And like,
That's a great question, Maxine. I'm not prepared for this. Honestly, this happened much later in my life. I think it came with just a lot of self-acceptance. There was a long period where I did not really address my heritage. I wasn't really interested in it. And it happened in my 40s that I became quite fascinated with where I'm from. And I think that's where, in particular, this kind of work is showing up, is because I am actually fully embracing my heritage and my curiosity about it, and I really want to learn about it. Yeah.
How do you narrow down like a scattered brain? Let's say you have a lot going on in you have so many ideas, or you have so many things that you actually want to do. How do you kind of narrow down and kind of set yourself mind into focus about, what it is exactly, the message you're trying to actually relay?
That's where the procrastination comes in for me, is I walk it off. And what doesn't stick to the wall, it's for later. Whatever the cream rises to the surface. So whatever's the most urgent for me, whatever makes the most sense at the time is what has actionable steps. I don't know, cannabis works too, to focus people. Yeah. Okay, that's it, folks.